Hey guys, Steve Welch here, Beeman Toyota in Nashville. A few of you guys have asked me this question, and whether you're working with here on the lot or whether you're reaching out to me on YouTube, you've asked me the question of, should I sell my car on my own or trade it in? All right, and the answer, it could vary. So I'm going to kind of give you the reasons to and the reasons not to, and kind of you'll be able to figure it out from there, hopefully, as to what's best for you. So there's a lot of reasons to trade in a car. All right, so one of the reasons you want to trade in a car is that, number one, you don't want to mess with it. You don't want to set it out front of your lot or your house, or set it on the side of the highway, risk it getting damaged. You don't want to have somebody come to the front of your house, knock on your door, take a car that you have insured, that's titled in your name, and go around and take a test drive in that car, and hopefully they come back. Maybe sometimes they don't, and then you try to work out terms. You fight that. Maybe they don't pay, maybe they do, maybe it's a bad check. There's a lot of reasons that is, you can do it, but there's a lot of reasons that's avoided by a lot of people. There's just a lot of hassle to doing that, and I'll get into it a little bit further here going forward in this video here.
Let's put it this way.
If you ever seen those judge shows, I think half the cases on those judge shows are about people that bought and sold cars on their own. And that meaning somebody that, hey, I didn't get the title, right? Or it wasn't a clean title, or it was a skip title, basically meaning that they got it from somebody else and they didn't have the authority to sell the car, right? Because it was never registered in their name, so the taxes have to be paid on it before they can sell it. And then, so they didn't have the right to sell that without registering it with the state, but they just signed it back over to you. Oops. There's all kinds of tax issues, and and bad titles, and maybe it's stolen, and God, all these things that can pop up when you buy a car by yourself. And so realize also that the person that you're working with, they're looking to, they're on the back side of that. So you're working with somebody that expects you to be trying to get over on them, whether you are or not, or vice versa. So that could come into play when you're selling your car on your own. It's just, there's a lot of bad that can come from selling a car on your own. So will you make more money? Usually. If all goes perfectly, yes, you'll make more money. If it all goes perfectly. Does it always go all perfectly? No, not even, no. I have heard nightmare stories about people that never got titles. I've heard nightmare stories about people that bought stolen cars and they were out the money they spent for that car. Why? Because you owned something that was stolen. They took it back, gave it back to the person that owned it. You're out your money. Sue the person that sold you the car if you can find them and if they have the money. There's a whole bunch, and it's a civil thing probably too, but I mean, who knows? But anyway, so now let's get back to the trade-in. If you trade in the car, you eliminate all that hassle I was just talking about. You eliminate the people that are coming to your house. You eliminate the possibility, and this is the other thing that's happened too. I've had, or at least heard of, and I've had one instance in my history where somebody came back 6 months after they bought the car and said, you knew that the engine was going to blow up when you sold it to me 6 months ago. You knew it was going to happen. You knew the transmission was going to go out. You knew that it needed XYZ part, whatever that is. You knew. I want you to pay for it. Well, in the instance that I had, I sold somebody a $500 car. It was just a junk car. I was either going to salvage it, but this person needed a car and asked me, pretty please, will you sell it to me? No problem. Sold it to her for $500. She came back 6 months later, told me the engine blew, and she wanted me to put a $3,000 engine in this car. No, I'm not putting an engine in the car. Well, you knew it was going to go out. It was a 250,000 mile Chevy. It was a little car. Yeah, it was going to go out. You got 6 months out of it. I was going to salvage the thing until you asked me to buy it from me. So that's the kind of stuff that happens when you sell stuff on your own, and sometimes you lose a friend over it, right? So that kind of stuff can happen. It can be a nightmare, right? So But if you sold it to a dealership, traded it in, now they're going to make sure the car is right. They're going to possibly warranty the car. They're going to be the ones that other customer comes back on if there's a question or concern or something like that. If there's something that comes up and that car has a bigger problem, then obviously they can be the ones to fix it. All that's off of you. You know what? There's a premium to that. It costs you some money, right? So here's the thing. What's the difference between trading it myself and or selling it myself and trading it into the dealership? Usually it's not as much as you think, because in most states, and you know, you want to consult a tax professional, right? Or at least consult the dealership in your state and make sure that this is the case. In most states, as long as your name's on the title, if you trade in that car towards another car, you get a tax credit towards the other car. So depending on the value of that car, now if the car is a $500 car, the value isn't really going to help you with a tax credit. You save, you know, an extra $5 or something, $10, whatever it is. So that value is not really going to help you on that trade-in. But if you've got a $20,000 car, well, you could save a couple, $2,000-$3,000 in taxes, depending on where you trade it in and how their tax credit works. Like I said, consult your local laws, of course, but full disclaimer, right? Consult your local laws, but that's a real thing. So let's say that you could get, you know, $20,000 for a car to trade it in, but you think you know, and you've blue booked it and black booked it and you've done everything, and everything on there says that I could private party sell my car for 24 grand. Okay, let's assume that those are the numbers, that it's 24 grand. So now if you get a tax credit, well, your tax credit might be $2,000, right? It might be $1,000. It depends on where you're trading it in and how the tax credit works. Like I said, consult local people in that. Don't just go by what I'm saying, but make sure you ask the question about a tax credit. So, but let's say you get a tax credit and let's just call it the lower number. Let's say it's $1,000 tax credit on that $20,000 car. That's brought you up to 21. So it's the equivalent of having gotten 21,000 for that car. So if you get 21,000 with your tax credit, now what's the next thing to do? All right, so let's assume that you go down today and you buy that new car, and you get that new car and it's, you know, ready, you can take it home now. All right, you didn't have to wait until somebody paid you the money. So let's say you're going to use that 20,000 as your down payment towards the next car, or that 24,000 is the down payment towards your next car. You didn't have to wait for somebody to pay you that, for a check to clear, for them to try to get a bank loan, for all the other stuff that somebody tries to do when they're trying to sell their car on their own and that person's trying to buy it from them on their own. You can just go down and it's done today in most cases, right? So if you're, like I said, so if you're going to, you know, trade it, how much is that time worth? Right? So how much is the time worth that you didn't spend 3, 4, 6, 8 weeks, something like that? You didn't spend that amount of time with the car in your driveway, people coming to your house, test driving your car, keeping the insurance on that car, all the stuff that you have to do when you're trying to sell a car. You didn't have to waste that time. How much is that worth? $500? Maybe? 1,000? Maybe? Call it 500, right? So we're at 21.5 as opposed to that 24 that you thought you can get if you sold it on your own. All right, how much is the liability worth, right? So if somebody was to, you know, let's call it a hailstorm happens, right? You have a hailstorm happens and now you got a bunch of dents you got to pull out of your car in order to get that. So if you have a hailstorm happen, or if you have something like that happen to your car and now you've got to repair it because it was sitting in your driveway, somebody jumps a curb and hits the car, it's sitting on the side of a highway and the glass breaks. Well, that could be $1,000 piece of glass, you know, so that stuff can come into play too. But let's assume that none of that happens, but still realize there's a liability that's in there, right? Let's assume that none of that happens. All right, so we're at the difference between 24 and, you know, 21.5, 22, right? So we're a $2,000 difference that you can get to turn and sell it yourself. All right, how many times do you list it on the list or on your marketplace that somebody comes through and you say you want 24 for it and they say, I'll give you exactly what you want? Doesn't happen. Person comes through and you say, I want 24 for it. Because keep in mind, if you mark it at 25 or 26, they know that the market says 24 because they looked up the same thing you did. So it doesn't matter how high you mark it, but you mark it at something that's reasonable. Say your car is reasonably priced at 24. You mark it at 24,000. They come through and they say, you know what? Give you 22. Give you 20,000. Really low ball you. You come back and you say, look, I'll take 23 for it. All right. So now you took 23 for it, but you've kept the liability. You've kept the person that came to your house that you didn't know. Did you get paid for it right away? Do you have to wait for the payment? Are they going to try to title it right away? If you don't get the payment, that's something else. If you don't get that payment right away and you give them the title, you might never see your payment. If you give that person your title, they can do everything they want with it. You sign the title over to them. Doesn't matter the rest. You know, if they don't pay, well, sue them. Something else, right? Like I said, all the judge shows, right? They don't pay, sue them. I mean, how long's that taken? Take a day off of work. How much do you get paid an hour, right? You took a day off from work. You took a day to prepare for it, right? And so you took 2 days off of work to save maybe $2,000. Somebody came to your house. They know where you live. Somebody, I mean, they know where to come back if something goes wrong with the car that they think you might have known about. You have a nice house, maybe they're looking at something like that. I mean, God forbid in there too, right? So all these things come into with, I'll sell my car on my own. I would rather salvage a car than sell it on my own, and I sell cars. I literally am getting ready to buy my Tundra, which you guys know about, and I will be trading in my car. I will not sell it on my own, even though I know how, even though I have title in hand. I don't care. I'm not going to sell that car to anybody to where they can come back to me. Nope, not going to do it. So that being said, what's better? Sell your car on your own, trade it in. Well, do I have a vested interest that you trade it in? Usually, yeah. Are there sometimes the dealership says, I don't want it? That's true too. So if you have a beat up car, a salvage title car, a Carfax that says vehicle exploded, which I have seen once. If you have those types of things, the dealership probably doesn't want your car. They'll trade for it. Usually they don't want to, but they will. But let's say that you could make more money taking it to a salvage yard. Why would you not do that? You know, so if it's going to save, $500, if they're going to pay you $500 at a salvage yard, do that. Don't sell it to somebody for $500. Sell it to the salvage yard for $500. All these are my personal opinions, of course. I just try to give you guys the insight that I have from things that I've seen go horribly wrong. And when I say horribly wrong, I mean horribly wrong. I have seen so many people come in here and just, tell me their stories about how bad it went the last time they sold their car on their own. And it was bad. And there've been a lot of people where they would actually start tearing up because of what happened the last time they sold their car on their own. So do you want to trade it? Do you want to sell it yourself? That's your choice. I'm not going to tell you which way to go, but obviously I'm going to help to lean you one way or the other. But man, it makes it so much easier when you trade it in. There's just so many benefits trading it in. It's done today. Nobody creepy comes to your house. Nobody's trying to lowball you on a car. You're not dealing with people pulling you out of work because they want to come see the car and it's 2 p.m. and you're at work, so you can come out of work, you come by there, and then they offer you $10,000 for it. You're going, it's a $25,000 car, $24,000 car. You want to offer me $10,000? Yeah, cash. I'll give it to you now. That all happens, guys. So you left work for no reason for somebody to go and drive your car, a test drive where the guy never comes back. I've heard those. They took a car for a test drive and they never came back. Just took it. Those happen. People do that kind of stuff. So if you are thinking about selling a car on your own, realize the amount of risk you're putting in your pocket for what usually equates to $1,000 to $2,000 difference. Usually. Sometimes it's even less than that when you equate in the tax credit. Like I said, if that's how your jurisdiction works, if you equate that in, could be that. You know what? It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. Don't sell it yourself if you can get around it. And if it's just that much of a broken down car, then just salvage it. You're gonna absolve yourself of it. Salvage it, right? It's just easier, it's better. All my opinions, but I don't think I'm wrong on this either, guys. So tell me what you guys think. Put it in the comments. Definitely like, subscribe, and we will talk to you guys soon. Steve Welch, Beaman Toyota in Nashville. Hoping you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.